Welcome to FlyEaglesFly News, where Eagles fans get the latest, fastest, and hottest updates. Hit subscribe and fly high with us. The city woke up buzzing with whispers that felt heavier than the winter air. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the echo of something breaking behind closed doors. In Philly, what just happened around Jalen Hurts is being talked about in low voices. The kind of conversations that stop when someone else walks into the room. The rumor floating right now is that a heated discussion erupted between Hurts and a key member of the front office. Not the kind of polite disagreement you smooth over with a handshake, but the kind that leaves scars. Sources close to the situation say the tone shifted fast. Voices raised, respect questioned, and suddenly the foundation everyone assumed was solid started to feel shaky for a franchise that built its recent identity around calm leadership and unity. This moment feels like a crack in the armor. Hurts has always been portrayed as the ultimate professional, the steady presence who keeps emotions in check. So the idea of him clashing openly with management hits different. It suggests frustration that has been simmering for a long time, maybe about direction, maybe about trust, maybe about promises that were made and quietly forgotten. In Philly, perception becomes reality fast. And once fans sense tension between a star quarterback and the suits upstairs, the imagination runs wild. This is how eras begin to unravel, not with a single move on the field, but with words exchanged in a room no cameras are allowed to enter. What makes this rumor feel even more explosive is the timing. Within the broader narrative of the Eagles, this team has been sold to the public as a stable powerhouse, a place where everyone pulls in the same direction. Yet suddenly there is talk of a power struggle behind the scenes. The speculation says the disagreement centered on long-term vision, how the offense should evolve, and how much influence Hurts should have in shaping it. Quarterbacks at his level often expect a seat at the table, and when that expectation clashes with an organization that values control, sparks can fly. The idea that Hurts might feel unheard or undervalued sends shockwaves, because he has been the face of resilience and accountability. Fans are now asking themselves whether the smiles at press conferences mask deeper tension. In Philly, loyalty is earned through honesty, and if Hurts feels that honesty was missing, the bond weakens. The front office, on the other hand, is rumored to be standing firm, believing that no player is bigger than the structure they built. That philosophical clash is dangerous territory. It turns a simple disagreement into a question of identity, and once identity is questioned, everything feels up for grabs, including the future of the most important position in football. As the story spreads, the rumor mill is painting vivid scenes of that confrontation, with people claiming it was intense, personal, and impossible to ignore. Some say Hurts walked away visibly upset. Others whisper that executives were stunned by his directness. Whether those details are true almost does not matter anymore, because the narrative has taken on a life of its own. Philly fans are experts at reading between the lines, and every body language clip, every vague quote, every social media silence is now being dissected like evidence in a trial. The question everyone keeps asking is simple but terrifying. Could this actually lead to Jalen Hurts leaving the Eagles? Just saying those words feels unreal. Yet rumors thrive on the space between certainty and fear. The franchise invested belief, trust, and cultural leadership in Hurts, and now people are wondering if that investment is at risk. This is not about a trade request or a formal demand. At least not yet. It is about a fracture in communication, the kind that can grow if ignored. Once doubt creeps in, it poisons decision-making, and suddenly scenarios that once felt impossible start to feel plausible. From a broader perspective, this rumor taps into a familiar pattern in the league, where star quarterbacks eventually test the limits of organizational patience. Hurts has been praised for his discipline and team-first mentality. But discipline does not mean silence forever. When a leader feels the need to speak up, it often means he believes the stakes are too high to stay quiet. The speculation suggests Hurts challenged decisions, questioned priorities, and demanded clarity about where the team is headed. That takes courage, but it also puts him directly in the line of fire. Front offices are not always comfortable being challenged, especially by players, no matter how valuable they are. In Philly, where the media spotlight is relentless, this kind of internal tension rarely stays hidden for long. Fans can sense when something is off. And right now the vibe feels different. The excitement of potential is being replaced by anxiety about stability. The thought that Hurts could be unhappy enough to consider his options shakes the confidence of a fan base that believed the quarterback position was finally settled for the long haul. Another layer to this speculation involves how the locker room might be reacting. Hurts is respected not just for his performance, but for how he carries himself. If word of this confrontation spreads internally, it could shift dynamics in subtle ways. Teammates might rally around him, seeing him as someone willing to speak truth to power. Others might worry about the fallout, about what it means if the franchise's leader is at odds with management. These situations create invisible lines. And even if no one openly chooses sides, the atmosphere changes. The Eagles have always preached unity, and unity is fragile when trust is questioned. The rumor suggests that Hurts feels a disconnect between what he is asked to represent publicly and what he experiences privately. That disconnect can erode motivation over time. For a quarterback who prides himself on mental strength, feeling misaligned with the organization could be the one challenge that is hardest to overcome. Philly has seen stars come and go, but losing one through internal conflict always leaves a bitter taste. As the speculation continues to swirl, one thing is clear: this is not just idle gossip anymore. It has reached a level where fans, analysts, and insiders are all watching closely for the next sign, the next hint, the next confirmation. The idea that Jalen Hurts could exit Philly is no longer being laughed off as absurd. It is being discussed seriously, cautiously, with a sense of disbelief mixed with concern. Whether this confrontation leads to reconciliation or separation remains unknown, but the mere existence of the rumor changes the landscape. It forces the organization to confront how it communicates with its stars, and it forces Hurts to consider how much he is willing to tolerate in silence. In Philly, legends are made through adversity, but they are also lost through pride. This moment feels like a crossroads, and the direction chosen will echo far beyond a single argument in a closed room. If we take this rumor one step further, the most unsettling question becomes not whether the argument happened, but what it reveals about the future relationship between Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Speculation suggests that this was not an isolated blow-up, but the climax of ongoing tension that has been quietly building. When disagreements pile up without resolution, they do not disappear. They ferment. Hurts is rumored to have reached a point where he needed answers, not platitudes, about the team's long-term commitment to a vision he believes in. That kind of demand can feel threatening to executives who prefer to keep authority centralized. From Hurts' perspective, leadership means accountability in all directions, not just from players downward. If those philosophies clash, compromise becomes difficult. Fans are now imagining scenarios where this tension leads to distance, where smiles become forced and trust becomes conditional. In a league defined by movement and change, even the most stable situations can flip quickly. The thought of Hurts exploring a future outside Philly, even hypothetically, sends shockwaves because it challenges the assumption that this partnership was unbreakable. Rumors thrive in uncertainty, and right now uncertainty is exactly what surrounds the Eagles. Another aspect fueling the speculation is how calculated silence can speak louder than words. Observers have noticed what they interpret as subtle shifts in tone, less enthusiasm, more guarded responses. Whether those observations are fair or exaggerated, they add fuel to the fire. In the world of sports media, perception often outruns reality. A single rumored confrontation becomes a symbol of deeper dysfunction. For Hurts, who has carefully crafted an image of discipline and focus, being at the center of this narrative could be frustrating, yet frustration is often the spark that ignites change. The Eagles' front office is rumored to be evaluating its stance, weighing the risk of appeasing a star against the risk of alienating him. That is a delicate balance. Give too much, and you undermine structure. Give too little, and you risk losing the very player around whom the structure was built. Philly is a city that demands authenticity, and fans can sense when corporate language is masking real issues. The longer this rumor lingers without clarity, the more it shapes public opinion. And public opinion matters in this market. There is also the broader league context to consider, which adds another layer of intrigue to this speculation. Quarterbacks of Hurts' caliber are always in demand, and everyone knows it. Even the faintest hint of availability sends executives across the league into imagination mode. That external interest, even if unspoken, changes leverage internally. Hurts does not need to threaten departure for the possibility to exist. The Eagles know that if trust erodes, options multiply. That knowledge alone can make negotiations tense. The rumor suggests that Hurts may want assurances not just about personnel, but about respect and communication. Those are intangible factors that do not show up on a stat sheet, but matter deeply to leaders. Philly fans pride themselves on understanding grit and honesty, and many would side with a player who stands up for his beliefs. Others would side with the organization, fearing the chaos of instability. This divide, even hypothetical, shows how powerful the narrative has become. It is no longer about a single argument, but about competing visions of what the Eagles should be. Speculation also touches on how this situation could redefine Hurts' legacy if it continues down a darker path. He arrived as an underdog, earned respect through work ethic, and became a symbol of quiet confidence. Leaving Philly under a cloud of controversy would complicate that story. Yet staying in a situation where he feels constrained could also take a toll. Leaders often face a moment where they must choose between comfort and conviction. The rumor implies that Hurts might be approaching that moment for the Eagles. Losing him would not just mean replacing a quarterback, it would mean rebuilding an identity. That is why this story feels so heavy. It is not just about roster moves, but about values. Does the organization adapt to its leader? Or does it expect the leader to adapt to the organization? There is no easy answer. And that is what makes the speculation so compelling. Every fan feels the weight of that question. Even without concrete facts, FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds as the narrative continues to evolve. Some voices urge patience, suggesting that heated discussions can lead to growth if handled correctly. Others warn that once lines are crossed, they cannot be uncrossed. The rumor that Hurts could leave the Eagles is powerful because it taps into both hope and fear. Hope that honesty might force positive change, fear that pride might push both sides apart. Philly has a long memory, and moments like this are remembered for generations. Whether this becomes a footnote or a turning point depends on what happens next. Behind those same closed doors, communication can heal, but only if both sides are willing to listen. The silence following the rumored confrontation is what makes fans uneasy. Silence leaves space for imagination, and imagination rarely chooses the calmest outcome. In the end, this speculation reminds everyone how fragile even the strongest partnerships can be. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles were seen as perfectly aligned, a model of modern football harmony. Now, a single rumored argument has cast a shadow over that image. That does not mean separation is inevitable, but it does mean the relationship has entered a new phase. Trust, once questioned, must be rebuilt intentionally. For Hurts, this could be a test of resilience beyond the field. For the Eagles, it could be a test of adaptability and humility. Philly fans will watch every move, every word, every pause, searching for signs of resolution or rupture until clarity emerges. The rumor will continue to grow, shaping conversations and expectations, and in a city that lives and breathes football, that kind of uncertainty feels like standing on the edge of something big, unsure whether it will lead to renewal or regret. Finally, the Leonard trade underscores the high-stakes nature of NFL decision-making, where a single bold move can reverberate across the league, alter team trajectories, and ignite fan fervor. Sources suggest that the Eagles' leadership sees Leonard as a potential catalyst for transformation, blending athleticism, intelligence, and leadership qualities that could redefine the quarterback position within the franchise. Analysts continue to speculate about his immediate impact, long-term development, and the strategic maneuvers this trade may trigger across multiple teams. Fans, meanwhile, are imagining a series of highlight reel plays, clutch performances, and defining moments that could cement Leonard as a franchise cornerstone. The narrative surrounding this trade is fueled by suspense, uncertainty, and the tantalizing promise of a young quarterback ready to seize an opportunity on one of the NFL's most scrutinized stages. As practices, preseason games, and media interactions unfold, every move Leonard makes will be analyzed, debated, and celebrated, creating a whirlwind of speculation that perfectly encapsulates the drama, excitement, and unpredictability of professional football. In the end, the Leonard trade represents not only a roster adjustment, but the birth of a captivating storyline, one that could reshape the Eagles' identity, influence league trends, and enthrall fans for years to come. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.